Welcome to the Super Sentai Brothers. This is episode 11 of Licensed to Carranger, the internet's best and only podcast dedicated to Gekisou Sentai Carranger. Every week we watch an episode of the show and we share our thoughts with you, the listener. My name is Matt J. With me as always is my co-host and brother Dave. Dave, how you doing today?
I am doing well. I just noticed that there's more seltzer in this can, so that's a bonus.
Yeah, things are really looking up.
Hey, listen, man. You take what you can get where you can get it.
Yeah. So, speaking of delightful things that are a rare treasure, today we're watching episode 11 of Gekisou Sentai Carranger.
Are we seriously? Man, I thought it was not going to be possible for us to move through a show more slowly than we did Carranger, but we are already giving that season a run for its money.
Hey, but we're back.
We're back.
Oh, yeah. Sorry that we were not here last week,
Super sorry,
folks.
guys. We had...
I'm not super sorry. Let's not go overboard. I am sorry.
But it was a lot of stuff. I had stuff. Matt had stuff. Producer Mark had some stuff.
We've all got lives, folks.
Right. He had a non-emergency, non-life-threatening, but minor surgery. He's good. Things are great with him now.
We're all good here. The other thing that has sort of thrown our schedule out of whack, recording-wise, is the fact that we are actually, well, it's not because of this. Our sister's in town.
Yeah, she is.
And in fact, not only is she in town, she is in the room right now. Katie, welcome to the Super Sentai Brothers.
For the second time.
Yeah, second time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I was here.
The Super Sentai siblings.
Yeah.
Super show.
I am the Super Sentai sister.
Welcome to the show, Katie.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Anyway, as I was mentioning before I was so rudely interrupted, we're watching episode 11 today. It is called...
Who in it?
When were you interrupted?
I'm pretty sure one of you interrupted me.
Nope.
I was patiently waiting to be introduced.
Definitely.
Then it must have been Dave. Anyway, it's called The Overweight Angry One, or The Angry Overweight One. The original air date was May 3rd, 1996. It was written, as the last one or two have been written, by Hirohisa Soda. We are going to watch it shortly. But of course, before we do, as always, shining in the heavens, there are 5 stars. And Katie, what is our first star? I guess our first star of the week is Katie.
Katie, she's
Hey,
here.
I'm here.
From the land of Sentai.
From the land of Sentai.
She is our foreign correspondent. You have been living in Japan this last year.
Yes, I have. I will actually... I'm going back this week, and I will be arriving back the day before my 1-year anniversary of living in Japan.
I genuinely thought you were going to say, the day before something Sentai related. The day before the new season starts.
No. Unfortunately, I do not have a TV yet. I'm getting one. Thank you, Stu.
Thanks, Stu.
Friend of the show, Stu.
Friend-in-law of the show.
But that means that I can't actually watch Super Sentai in Japan, though I do occasionally see posters
for it.
There's
gotta be a club. You work at a university, there has to be a club for Super Sentai.
I could start one. I could probably get people interested in it.
I feel like universities have clubs for everything, man.
It's a quality program, Katie. You should watch it sometime. Well, we're thrilled to have you.
Thank you so much.
I guess we'll talk as we're going through the episode. If you have any specific Japanese observations while we are going through talking about episode 11 of Gekisou Sentai Carranger, the angry overweight one. But it's been really nice to have you here.
Thank you.
We got some D&D in yesterday.
That's true.
Not as much as I would like.
Well,
there's never as much D&D in my life as I would like. I have just
probably since college.
Since college, yeah. But since first semester of college, we're just really took a hammer to my GPA.
Yeah, I sometimes feel like the reason I can never find enough time to play D&D in my life now is because I burned up so much of like my lifetime allotment of D&D during college.
Yeah, there was. I mean, I was playing a different game, not necessarily of D&D specifically, but I was playing a different game every night of the week. It was the best.
Yeah, it's a great year.
I mean, I only just started playing, but it is excellent.
It is, I know, it's the best.
Yeah, so it has been really great to be back. I have loved it. I have been eating just way more junk food than I need to.
That's the problem with, like, anytime you're, like, visiting, you're like, I'm gonna eat the good stuff. And now all of a sudden,
like,
you're, like, a week deep.
Right.
Because, like...
And you've eaten nothing but, like, chicken wings.
Right. Snyder's of Hanover pretzel bits.
Those things are so
like
good.
the broken
So
ones
good.
that are just
So
like
good.
super
So
flavor blasted.
I don't know how they do it.
Man, anything flavor blasted, I am down
I'm down.
for.
Right, flavor blasted
Right.
Doritos, flavor blasted Goldfish, flavor blasted Snyder's of Hanover.
Right.
Just...
Like, I mean, it only stands to reason. If flavor is good, then blasted flavor has to be
Gotta
better.
even better.
Yeah, but it's been... Because, like, I can make good, like, wholesome American food.
Right, you can do that at home.
I can do that at home, but I'm here and I'm like, I need flamin' hot Cheetos. I need just unnecessary cookies.
Yeah.
Sure. Flamin'
You
hot
know?
cookies, flamin' hot chips,
Have
flamin'
you
hot
been-
Coca-Cola.
Have you been doing a lot of desserts here? Because I watched a whole show about this. We talked about it. Japanese desserts, not... You can see, I waved my finger admonishingly in the air.
Well, I feel like generally desserts are the sort of food that are least, like, transferable from culture to culture. You know?
I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna make that slightly more. I'm gonna say
did that make sense?
Yeah, they're least transferable from continent to continent.
Okay.
That's what I'm gonna say.
Okay.
I feel like anybody in France is gonna be able to roll up on baklava and still be fairly happy about it.
Right.
But if that same Frenchman rolled up and a Japanese person was like, "Here's some red bean with like seaweed jelly and sugar syrup," I think if you do that in France, they're legally allowed to kill you.
Yeah. It's a dangerous place, but...
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying I don't like red bean.
I like red bean. It's good.
Here's the thing about red bean and
Seaweed jelly
matcha.
I'm less into.
Red bean and sweet potato things.
Okay.
I like red bean desserts.
They're
good.
great.
Okay.
I like sweet potato
I
desserts.
like those fish with the ice cream and the red bean.
Yeah, it's
and the
delicious.
pastry. Yeah, they're great.
Or there's these other ones, and they're like little.
It's like a Korean thing, right?
Wafer.
They're kind of everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Though actually, the ice cream ones are more Korean.
Okay.
Anyway, there's like a similar version of thing. And
I'm
it's
so
just
glad we figured that all out.
red bean ice cream and like a little sandwich, and it's delicious. So, I like red bean and I like sweet potato. But what I do not like is when you roll up to get a pastry and you think it's going to be chocolate. And you take a bite, and you're eating beans.
Pan all red beans.
Or if you think you're getting like a delicious Danish that has like cream and apple in it, and you take a bite, and it is cream and potatoes.
I mean,
Yeah.
Katie, can I blow your mind here real quick?
What?
If you go over to somewhere and you buy something and you're expecting it to have chocolate, and it does have chocolate, you are still eating beans.
Okay.
Oh!
Yeah, but they haven't been tempered beans.
Anyway,
You didn't do it right.
this has been Bean Talk.
Anyway, but Japan is great. I love being there. It's great to be back. I'm very much looking forward to going back to Japan just so my schedule
Like,
can
to,
get
right,
back
just
to
like get back to
normal.
life.
Oh yeah, I'm
Yeah.
also looking forward to you going back to Japan.
Right.
I mean, I love you dearly, but
We all love each other very much.
I just need to have my life back,
We're all
Katie.
excited when I go.
Anyway, that's enough about Katie. Dave, what is our second star of the week?
So, okay, I double turns out myself.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's not a great feeling when it happens, but I did snort laugh at this story. So, I was listening to NPR, and they had That's the best part. I listen to the NPR.
The whole point of this story is just so Dave can let you know that he listens to NPR, as though
It wasn't
listening
totally
to the show
obvious.
for over 4 seasons would not have tipped you in that Dave and I are NPR guys.
Anyway, so I was listening to NPR, and there was an ad, insofar as they do ads, where they're talking about, like, Cerity Financial, something, let us take care of your money. And they're like, Cerity, taken from the word sincerity, something, let us take care of your money. And I snort laughed at that because I was like, dudes, sincere is taken from, like, the Latin, like, sin means without, and then cere means wax. Like, without wax, like, it means without wax. Like, if you had a statue, you could cover it in wax, but if it was like, oh, this statue is sincere, it means there's no wax. It is what it is. You get what you're looking at. That's the real deal. And I was like, these dumb nerds just picked cerity, which is just the wax part. It's like the most dishonest part of the word, and they're asking you to trust them with your money. This is a scam. Like, this is an elaborate scam. This is like an Ocean's 11 style elaborate scam. It's a long con. It's a joke for, like, when they finally, like, run away to Barbados with all the money. This is hilarious.
This is like when P.N. Gwyn buys the ocean liner.
Yeah, precisely. Yeah. So, but I couldn't remember for this part of the story if it was from, like, Greek or Latin, because they both use sin as a prefix. So I went to look it up in Etymology Online, which is a great resource. And
Use it all
the time, right? A surprising amount. And so Katie also teaches English. Like, that is what she does.
That's what I do over there.
And
That's
so I look up Etymology Online, and they're like, yeah, it's from, like, Middle French. The whole sincere thing is like a folk etymology. The OED dismisses it out of hand. Like, nobody actually thinks that that's true. And I was like, oh, double turns out. Like, I double turns out myself.
Right. Sweet dunk on you.
Sweet dunk on me. But I laughed at both parts of it, so I felt like it was okay. So that's really it. And also, there's a little bit of education for you. If you thought that sincere thing was the case, it's not. So what, Matt, is our third star of the week?
Dave, third star of the week, appropriately, is Triple Triad. Okay.
That doesn't mean anything to me.
Of course it does. You played Final Fantasy VIII. Did you not?
Jeez. Yeah, man, like 20 years ago?
Yeah, actually, this year is the 20th anniversary of Final Fantasy VIII.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Holy cats.
I know,
I was sort of laughing at that.
No, it's also, this year is the 20th anniversary of The Matrix and The Phantom Menace. Wow. So, I'm going to let everybody recover from that. So, in Final Fantasy VIII, there is a card game.
Oh, yes! This was a very good game.
Yeah.
It's the second best in-game card game in a video game I ever played.
So, the best
one is Gwent.
Right, which I never played. That's from The Witcher?
Yeah, Witcher 3. It's real good.
Now, here's the thing that I've realized about Triple Triad. Not other than the fact that, like, it is a great game.
Yeah.
There is an app that you can get on your
Matt,
phone.
I gotta plug my ears and la through this, because you're about to tell me that I can just play this game on an app on my phone, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Well,
kind of.
Now it's too late.
Kind of. Here's the thing. There is an app, and the app is extremely bad.
Okay. There is a Gwent app, and it is good, but it is also, like, CCG-ish, and so I don't have it.
The app is called the Final Fantasy Portal.
Okay.
And the Final Fantasy Portal app is some app that Square Enix made, and everything else in the app is garbage. There's, like, Final Fantasy news and, like, articles about stuff. It's like this total, like
in fiction news?
No, it's like news about upcoming Final Fantasy things, but, like, the whole app is just this, like, it looks terrible, and it's garbage, and it's full of nonsense. Here's the one good thing about this app. Is in the top left corner of the screen, there's just a button that says Triple Triad. And if you click it, it loads an app within the app that is just Triple Triad. And you just get the game, and you play it. And it's amazing, because it's a super fun game.
Can you, do you get more cards
yes,
as you
do.
go through?
When you win the games, you get to pull the cards from the people that you beat.
Oh, wow. That's no good.
Yeah. It's one of those things, though, where, like, you can only, like... it stops you playing after like 5 or 6 games, and like you either have to like let a timer count down or like buy gems to be able to play again.
Okay.
Which means that since I know you're not going to buy gems to play more,
Yeah, I'm definitely not.
then you can just stop playing after a few games. I've gotten through all the easy levels. I've started the normal levels. It's extremely good. If you, like me, enjoy the classic Final Fantasy card game Triple Triad, I just wanted you to know that you can play it, and it's as good as you remember.
Awesome.
Even though still not all of the rules make sense to me. They haven't changed any of the rules. I just still haven't figured them out.
All right, what is our 4th star of the week?
4th star of the week is comic books.
Okay.
Sort of like the general idea
I was
of
going to
comic
say,
books.
I like them a lot.
So Katie and I were out. Actually, I went to a comic book shop with producer Mark and you. And,
Yeah, that's
friend
we
of the
talked
show,
about that
Cody.
last week, because we were talking about like weird... Oh, no, we didn't talk about that weird Fantastic Four stuff. But we
Yeah, we
thought about
couldn't
it.
quite turn it into a star, so we dropped it. But I want to talk about comic books this week.
Okay, hit me.
Because Katie and I went to a local comic book shop, Carol and John's, which is a great store on the west
Is
side.
it actually called Carol and John's?
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
It's on that, dear listener. That is only hilarious because those are our parents' names.
Yeah.
Dave does not just randomly find those 2 names hilarious.
Or just any store that is just named after 2 people. You're like, what?
How could you even?
That's crazy.
Like, there's a sub shop in Buffalo called John and Mary's, which happens to be my dad and his sister's name, so...
Yeah. Anyway, so
Less funny somehow.
So we went to Carol and John's.
But
well,
great
it's
subs.
It's less funny because both Dad and Aunt Mary like subs, but our mom does not like comic books at all. So the idea that our parents were secretly running a comic book shop all this time, like while at the same time not liking comic books, that is funny.
So anyway, so you go to this place, Carol
So we
and
go to
John's.
Carol and John's. I was looking for actually other friend of the show, Matt from Ranger Danger.
Oh, yeah.
He has a book out now from Image.
Yes!
Self-made.
Super exciting.
I had found the second and third issues at a shop, but I wasn't able to find the first one. So I go to Carol and John's. I was looking for that. I also wanted a new issue of The Savage Sword of Conan, which is very good if you're reading those Conan books. So I went to the comic book shop and I found issue 1 of Self-Made, which I was very glad of. It's very good. You all should go buy it and read it. But they didn't have the new issue of Savage Sword of Conan. And so I started talking to the guy behind the counter. He was like, oh yeah, like, we can order that for you, blah, blah, blah. You know, just like the comic book shop stuff.
Right.
But it had been so long since I had gone into a comic book shop and, like, gone to the counter and asked for a particular book and had the guy say, like, oh, I can order it and I will call you when it's in. Like, I used to do that every week and I loved it. And I really haven't done it in a couple of years. And it was just such a delight to, like, go back to a thing that I used to love and be reminded of, like, what made that experience so fun. That's all there was to it.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
This is not a great, like, comedy star. It was just a nice day of my week.
Yeah.
So, what, guys, is our 5th star of the week?
5th star of the week. Wow, we really backloaded these with me talking a lot, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. We could have flipped this around a little bit, but whatever.
5th star of the week is, as we have mentioned, Katie has been in town, and she's been sort of back and forth staying with you and staying with me.
Yes.
We live on opposite sides of town. It's not that long of a drive, but, you know, she's sort of been bouncing back and forth.
Also, sorry, I'm also going to note that when I got here, I actually flew into Baltimore and was staying with our parents for a couple weeks.
Yes.
And then I came here. So even before I got here and was bouncing back and forth, I was already like...
Right, you arrived after the first bounce, and then there's been a lot of subsequent bounces. It's been a very
Smaller
bouncy couple of
bounces.
weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a real speedball situation over here.
Robbie Baldwin?
Yes.
Anyway,
I believe so.
So Katie's been staying with me for a little bit off and on, and something that I had forgotten that I didn't like, I didn't realize it was happening until I had already done it, is Katie and I went to Target.
Man, I think like 90% of people live their entire lives that way. I don't think you need to feel bad.
Sure.
about
Well,
that.
let me here. Let's just wait until I get through with my. Before I was so rudely interrupted, listener.
That was true. I said a thing. It was unrelated to what I thought he was going to say.
Katie and I go to Target. As we're going through, I end up, in the way that you do at Target, buying a lot of random stuff that I did not immediately mean to buy. I bought like fancy new hooks for my shower curtain.
Okay.
To hang on the shower curtain rod. And also a new bath mat and some new hand towels.
Okay.
Right?
Sure. Why not?
This is not interesting or important.
That's right.
Here's the thing that I think is weird.
I think it's interesting.
Well, it's a nice bath mat. It's sort of like a tealy turquoise color.
Yeah.
Really brightens up the room. So the thing I realized, though, is every time I have someone stay at my place for more than like 2 days at a time, I buy something to put in my apartment or to replace something that is already in my apartment.
That's a good strategy.
But I don't do it on purpose, and I don't realize I've done it until afterwards. Like, I got home, I put up the new shower curtain stuff, I put down the new bath mat, and I was like, oh, I did it again. Because I think what happens is every time, like, I live by myself, and so every time somebody walks in and is in the apartment for a couple of days, I see it through their eyes.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
that's the exact same thing. There's a bunch of stuff in my house that gets, like, cleaned out or emptied or tidied or whatever because someone is coming and you're like, oh my goodness, I haven't looked at this closet in, I don't know, a year.
Right.
And
like,
someone's going to need it, and so now I'm going to look at it.
Right. Like, I forgot that this bath mat is 7 years old. Maybe I should get a new one. Because to me, that's just an old faithful friend. It's not a ratty old bath mat. Anyway, so the fun part was the recognition that I had done it yet again.
Oh, I was just going to say that I have said this to friends where I say, I need to have a party once every...
Like 2 months.
Like 2 to 3 months. Just to make sure that I have a very good reason to just go through and clean my entire apartment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a good strategy. Like, invite people over, and that'll kind of give you the impetus to make things happen.
Yeah, because, like, not a lot of people...
Yeah, no,
are staying with me for a longer period of time.
It's 2019. Get it in gear. Invite people over. Throw a party and clean your space.
Boom.
So, that's our 5 stars.
Yes, we're going to take a break. We're going to watch episode 11, and we will be right back. All right, welcome back. We've just watched episode 11, The Angry Overweight One. Okay.
It's problematic.
There are a few problematic
There's a few problems with it.
I feel like there's a weight loss diet episode in every season.
It is a surprisingly recurrent theme.
Yeah.
Especially for like a the only thing I can think of, here is the grace that I will give Super Sentai, is I wonder if it becomes a recurrent, because this is a kid's show, and I, of course, am looking at it from the perspective of an adult, like, guys, can you just, like, stop talking so much about, like, being overweight or losing weight and, like, how it's this huge deal, etc., etc. Maybe it's in there with the idea that, like, kids will think that it's, like, ridiculous that anybody cares that much. That seems untrue from what I know of children, but, like...
Hey, man.
Maybe they have this idea of it being like, oh, like, we are in a very 90s way going to teach you about body positivity and how it doesn't...
Right.
And how, like, weight doesn't really matter.
Except they 100% do not.
Don't do that.
Yeah, well, like you said, in that 90s way.
In that 90s way.
In that 90s way of, like, I know we're supposed to care about this stuff, but we don't know how to talk about it yet. But we know that we're supposed to talk about it.
So we're just gonna talk about it.
We're just gonna start talking and hope that it works out.
Okay, so the episode starts. We see Yoko and Natsumi, and they are, like, hanging out in, like, a shopping district or something, and Yuko has 2 ice creams. Like, she's double fisting ice creams, and Natsumi's like, hey, you may just want to chill on, like, double fisting ice creams.
It's a lot of iced cream.
It's just a lot of ice cream.
Like, if you eat that too quickly, like, you might just get, like, very fat from all of the iced creams that you're eating.
Right. And Yuko's like, oh, pish. Like, I'm very active. like, she doesn't say, like,
Which is true.
Which is true. Like, she's a Carranger. She's like, I'm young, it'll be fine. And Natsumi throws, like, a little shade, like, oh, to be so young and, like, carefree, like, you'll learn. So as they're walking by, and they see this bathing suit. Yuko sees this bathing suit, and she's like, oh, it's so cute. And then she does this whole, like, dream sequence of herself in this bathing suit.
The thing that's...
the life that she will achieve.
Right.
Like, because of this specific bathing suit.
And what I love about it is that it's not just a fantasy of her wearing the bathing suit and someone saying, man, you look really good in that bathing suit. It continues to progress. So she goes into this dream sequence where she's at the beach and people say, wow, she looks so good in that bathing suit. And then somebody walks up to her and says, hey, how would you like to be a model? And she says, a model? But I'm a Carranger. But then she does become a model.
No, she says after that. Like,
Okay.
after apparently I'm done being a Carranger, I think. I will be a model.
Oh, so she says, but she's very specific, where she starts in print ads.
Yeah.
Sure.
And then she would work up to TV.
Well, she's realistic.
Yeah.
Right. And then from TV...
You gotta put your time in.
she would become an idol.
Yup.
Sure, she'd put out an album.
And she would win Best New CD of the Year.
Sure, of course.
Which, in an award show where instead of it being like an award show where they call up the name, like apparently all of the nominees just go to the stage and like the light flashes on.
That's a way harsher version.
That's so cruel.
I would watch that show, I think, more than the regular Oscars.
Like if that's how the Oscars were.
Right, and then just everybody else has to like, but they never zoom in on the winner. It stays a wide angle shot, and you just have to watch everybody else like
Just
shuffle
slowly
off stage.
slowly, sadly go down the steps.
So she wins the best CD, and then from there she is going to marry a rich white man.
What she says is, I would love to marry a handsome rich man. And we cut to another part of this dream sequence where she's walking out of a church with, like, the tallest white guy in the world.
This dude's gotta be like 6'8".
Yeah.
I should mean that is not the tallest white guy in the world.
Sure, but definitely the tallest guy on this show that we've ever seen.
So, yeah, it just seemed like a weird choice to throw in a random white person in this moment.
Well, that did not seem that random to me.
Okay, hit me.
No, I just think that there's definitely, maybe not so much anymore, but in my experience, there is definitely this idea of, like, making it as, like, marrying a white guy.
Oh, really? Okay.
Now, I am not trying to
You are not
say
endorsing
this is true
this.
at
Right.
all.
You are just reporting this thing that you have observed.
Because I know the white guys that some Japanese women have married. And, like, they're fine. They're my friends. But, like, you know.
Not what I'd call a catch.
And, like, they make as much as I do. And, like, I'm comfortable that,
Like,
you know.
it's a thing, but it's not like, oh, you
Right.
really...
Yeah, so I think it's this idea of, like, I don't know, wealth.
Okay,
And,
but, like, this is not like they didn't just be like, dude, Steve's visiting, we'll get him in the show. Like, maybe there
No,
is
like,
something
this
going
is,
on
yeah,
here.
there may have been.
Okay,
idea.
so she imagines this all, by the way, because when she comes out of the dream sequence, she is in the changing room, and Natsumi's like, okay, like,
Right,
let's see it.
And she seems to have, like, gone into a fugue state and not realized that she had, like, gone into the store, picked up the bikini, gone into the changing room, and put it on.
Yeah. So she walks out and she's like, ta-da, how do I look? And Natsumi has also tried on a bathing suit. And she is also kind of like posing. And then like Yuko looks at Natsumi and they do like a long pan down on Natsumi. And like, she looks very nice.
Yeah.
And then Yuko looks at herself. And Yuko also looks very nice. And she's like, oh no. Like, compared to her, I'm a little chubby. This is madness.
Right.
By the way.
She looks the exact same as she did in her fantasy.
Yeah,
right.
She looks no different than she did in her fantasy.
And she looks the same as Natsu. I mean, like, they're different people, obviously, but, like,
And
she
they're
looks the same as
different bathing
Natsumi.
suits, but
Yeah.
Right.
Like, this is insane. just to be clear, she is going to step on a scale later on in the episode, and the scale is going to tell her that she weighs 105 pounds.
Yeah.
So,
and this is horrifying to her.
This is horrifying to her, yeah. She needs to lose, I think she said she needs to lose like 2 kilos. This is her goal. So she's trying to hit 100, she's a grown, but she's trying to hit 100 pounds. Which, listen, if you weigh 100 pounds, it's fine, but 105 pounds is okay, Yuka. I just want to sit down with Yuka.
Right.
Because I'm a teacher and I'm a dad now, I'm just Yuka, let's sit down and talk. You clearly have some other things going on. Maybe I'm not the best person to talk with
Dave,
you, but somebody needs to.
That would be a good way to work through this. There is, on the other hand, a different way that she can work through those feelings, and we're about to experience that.
We are. Okay, so they get the call. Bozo excited.
Yes.
So,
we cut to a bank, and we watch the boss of Pegasus Motors walking out of the bank looking lovingly at his bank balance.
Lovingly, but with a little consternation, because he says, "Oh, things are a little tight this month."
Yeah. And then he gets zapped with a
not hear that.
Yeah, he's "Oh, things are still a little
So his bank book gets zapped with a numbers laser.
Yup.
And that's the only way that I can describe it.
I think you nailed it.
And all of the numbers from his bank book fly onto a woman who is walking past her bank book, and she looks down at hers and says, "Oh my gosh, my bank balance has gone up to 2 trillion yen."
For you listeners, 2 trillion yen is about 15 billion US dollars.
And this is in 1996.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Also, her reaction is very calm.
Noting
Just how much money that is.
Yeah. So, first of all, when the boss said things were a little tight, that's absurd. And second of all...
I don't know, maybe he was buying a planet.
Man, I don't know. And then the second thing is that, it is a recurrent theme. You don't know this, Katie. It is a recurrent theme on this show, about how little the Carrangers get paid.
yeah.
So
it is a constant point of complaint for them. But this is not the only place where the numbers are going a little crazy.
Yeah, it's happening all over town.
Well, we cut to a bakery. All of the price tags on all of the little cakes and pieces of bread have also gotten zapped with the numbers laser.
Yeah,
and they have all changed. And
to 4 yen, which is 4 cents.
Yeah, and so all of these children who were already apparently standing outside the bakery with their nose pressed against the glass were "Oh my gosh, now is the moment." Then they run in and say, "I would like 200 cakes, please."
Now, okay, so this is what I got, is that this bozo has the power to make cashiers roll their eyes. That is what his ability is. Because, it doesn't matter what the sign says. This is the guy who, walks up and is "I didn't see a price tag on it. Must be free, huh?" That's this dude's power. He literally just changes the numbers and assumes that, and therefore everyone will sell cakes for 4 yen.
Now, this will be a problem later when he's changing numbers, but for this, it's just sort of causing general havoc.
Yeah. So he is P.P. Rappa, the best wizard of numbers.
Yes, he is not Paurappa the Rappa, which is what I kept thinking every time he said it.
Yup.
P.P. Rappa has a face that looks it's obviously
he
not.
He looks like the dude from Despicable Me.
I think
he does look like the dude from
little
Despicable
bit.
Me.
The nose.
I think he also looks like
not Groot.
Man, I don't
Groot
know.
had the nose. No, not Groot.
The guy
Groot.
from Groot. Thank you.
Yeah. Now, if do you guys remember Candyland?
I'm familiar with the board game Candyland.
There was a Licorice Lane or something. There was there was a bad dude and his theme was licorice, and he kind of looks like that dude.
Yeah.
Do you know Candyland has a spinner now instead of the deck of cards?
Huh.
Yeah.
Nah.
Yeah. Well, it changes the game.
Well, I mean, Candyland was never much of a game.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, the thing that I got a kick out of with Candyland is that basically, as soon as the deck was finished being shuffled, the game was over. You just didn't know it yet. But the spinner actually does make it a little bit more...
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing about P.P. Rappa that is upsetting to me is that his face is obviously not human. His face is Bozoke.
Yeah.
But
it looks very human.
it looks too human.
But it doesn't move.
Yeah, the
That's
eyes
what bums
move
me
a
out
little
about
bit.
it. Like, when it's clearly a monster face and it doesn't move, I'm okay. When it looks like a human face and it doesn't move, I'm deeply bothered.
Yeah.
So, this is his plan. He's like, I'm going to get down here, I'm going to make numbers chaotic, I'm going to do, like, a bunch of stuff, and then in the chaos, we, the Bozoke, will take over. Like, that's how we're going to do it this time.
So he is, just running around messing with numbers. The Carrangers see him and start to chase after him. And there's a cool moment where, like, they all are running down the street, and as they pass behind, like, a barrier or something,
this is a good engine.
Like, as they're running, they are just them in their regular street clothes. As they, like, run past this, like, tree or whatever, as they emerge on the other side, they have already transformed. It's just a nice camera trick. They catch up to him, they fight him for a few seconds. He tries to zap a car with the numbers laser. And what he's trying to do is change the positioning of the speedometer so that the car starts driving out of control.
Yeah.
Which I think is actually a very interesting application of his power. But the laser just bounces off.
He's like, huh?
And for a minute, I'm thinking, maybe
there's
his power doesn't work on cars, and that's how they're going to beat him.
Yeah, or I was like assuming that like someone was going to jump out of the car or something was going to happen. No, it just turns out he's like low on batteries.
Yeah.
We find out, which is like, that's the dumbest element of this episode. Like, anyways.
I do love it, though. And I love it because it's Carranger and Carranger. I don't know if you know this, Katie. Carranger is a spoof. It's
It is Super Sentai. It is the Super Sentai series for that year.
But it's very tongue-in-cheek about, like, the tropes of Super Sentai.
Okay.
So, the Rangers catch up with him, and they're about to fight for a second. He tries to do this thing. It doesn't work. And then Yuko does, like, a flying kick, but she kind of flubs it, and she just kind of lands on him.
Uh-huh.
He takes him to the ground, and he's like, oh my gosh, get off me. You're so heavy, you fat pig. And Yuko loses it. Like, she's very upset by this. Which, like, that's legit.
Understandable.
Right.
That's
It's
not
a horrible thing to say.
That's a horrible thing to say to somebody. But in her distress, she kind of...
Let him get away.
Yeah, he gets away because she's so destructive.
She does punch him extremely hard.
Yeah.
And I think he flies away after the punch makes him fly away, but she's so upset that she doesn't chase after him.
So everybody's like, Yuko, what happened? She's like, I'm so sorry. Like, I don't know what came over me. Like, but he's gone now. Let's just kind of get back to work here.
So they get back to the garage. I was going to say the gym, but that's not where they're going. They're going to the garage. They get back to the garage, and they have the TV on in the background as they're working, and they say,
this is cool.
The people on the TV, they're talking about us Car Rangers. Let's sit around and see what they have to say.
Sorry, before they talked about the TV, what was on TV, they were all trying to say, like, don't pay attention to him. Like, you're fine. Like he's just
cool.
a jerk.
Right.
Like, don't worry about it. You look great. Da da da.
Yeah.
Okay, and then.
So then they're like, we're on TV. So the host of this panel turns over and is like, so, Mr. Fashion Critic, like, what do you think about the Car Rangers? And he says, well, they do defend us and everything.
Love them. So
Love
good.
them. That's
Thanks
so
a lot.
great. I will say... the Pink Ranger is looking a little chubby. Maybe she should avoid the color pink. So, handful of things about that.
Right.
First of all, this dude clearly doesn't understand how Rangers work.
Right. Second,
Like, you can't just pick.
This guy is kind of the villain of the episode.
Yeah. Third of all, at first I was like, this is insane. Like, that this is what would be happening. And then I thought, actually, you know what? No, it's not insane.
It's not insane
If there
at
were a
all.
superhero team, this is 100% what human beings would do. We would have a panel, and we would talk about it, and then somebody would be like, this girl needs to change her outfit.
I mean, that already happens all the time.
Yeah, it does. I'm just saying we would also do it about superheroes that were risking their lives to save the planet.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, at this point, Yuko's like, all my friends are lying to me. This guy, this stranger is telling the truth. I need to deal with this situation. And so, the next thing we see is her... Like, it's a real bummer. Just, like, manically trying to deal with this 2 kilos.
Yeah.
I have written down Pink Ranger, because I couldn't remember her name.
It always takes us, like, 6 episodes to get their name straight. Don't worry about it.
Pink Ranger is having a real DJ Tanner moment.
Wow. It was worth having you on the show just for that line. Because that's 100% what is happening.
Yeah, like running by cakes and looking and longing and then being like, no, I can't, and shaking her head and keeping running and like just working way too hard.
Yeah, just like this super long montage. But the thing is, you know that all of that montage is happening like in real time. Like, we're not watching her exercise over the course of weeks and months. We're watching her, like, go to the pool and go out for a jog and be on her bike and just, like, completely exhausting herself all day.
In, like, one day,
In
though.
one day doing all this.
So she gets to the end of the day. She hasn't lost 2 kilos in a single day.
Which is good, because if she had, she should go to the doctor.
Yeah. So the next thing that we see is that she's at work. And she's, like, wearing, like, 6 layers.
At some point, Pipi Rappa has gone back up to Barabarian. There's a whole scene up there where he gets a better battery.
Oh, yeah.
It's massive.
Yeah, it's... So, the next scene is we see she's at work. She's wearing, like, 8 layers to try and, like, sweat off this weight. And she's doing, like, sit-ups while she's doing work.
Yeah, she's, like, doing accounting, but, like, between each number that she writes down, she's doing a sit-up.
So, the boss rolls in. He's like, hey, everybody, I bought cakes. And then he walks over to... It's a weird exchange, because he walks over to Yuko, and he's like, so, I see you're wearing, like, 8 layers. Is this just, like, a fashion thing? And she says, yeah, it is a fashion thing. He's like, oh, okay. I thought maybe it's because you're, like, trying to lose weight. But if it's a fashion thing, that's great. I have no idea why this exchange exists.
And all of the other Rangers are like, oh no, he mentioned the fact that she wanted to lose weight. She is going to explode. We need to, like, get out of here as quickly as possible.
I just don't understand... I don't understand the reaction of being very upset when someone's like, oh, okay. Maybe she thought he was saying, like, you should lose weight.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's weirdly written. So anyways, then their Excel chargers go off, and he's like, oh, is that also a weird fashion thing? Because he somehow hasn't noticed that all 5 of his only 5 employees, and all of them suddenly started wearing this very, very large bracelet every single day.
Right.
So he just notices them. They're going off. He's like, is this a fashion thing? They're like, yeah. And Dapu's in the back with, like, pre-printed... Like, he didn't make these signs. These came from a print shop.
Yeah.
Like, just, like, waving these signs like, guys, there's a bozo, is what is written in large letters on the signs.
So they say, like, oh, yes, haha, just a trend. We are leaving now, though, for an unrelated reason. Goodbye, boss. So they all run out, and they all are driving. They don't transform and then try to drive over to where the monster is in their, like, Carranger cars.
They have special little, like, Shriner Carranger cars.
They just pile into a car, untransformed, and start driving to the scene of the action.
Well, almost all of them do. Yuko insists on getting some exercise in because she goes on a bike.
Yes.
But they're driving behind her like, Yuko, get in the car. We've got to get there. She's like, no, I can do it. I've got to lose the 2 kilos.
Right. So they're doing this, like, she is just, like, she's having a very rough time because she's still wearing 10 different layers.
So basically she can't fight. Like, everybody else, like, Excel changes and turns into, you know, henshins and does the thing. She, like, can't get to her Excel charger because it's buried under, like, 8 layers of sweatpant. Or sweatshirt. Oh, sorry. Pipi Rappa has done his numbers thing to a bus full of kids that were singing The Other Day I Met a Bear which is a song that I know from childhood, did not know that it had crossed the Pacific to Japan.
Hey, man.
Anyways.
Small world.
I haven't
all.
heard it, but...
So, this bus is driving at like 800 kilometers an hour or something.
This has now become an episode of Speed.
Right, so
Yeah.
the
Just
other...
the idea that changing the numbers
I know.
is like, well, now you are going this fast.
So... so the Rangers all like catch up to the bus on foot, by the way.
Which means that they are also
Which
going
means they can also run
800
super fast.
kilometers
They're
an hour.
extremely fast. They're the racing Sentai Carranger.
Yeah, and they manage to stop the bus without Yuko. Because she's stuck in the back. She can't...
I think she like collapsed.
She collapsed because she's exhausted because her
Right.
back gives out.
Dapu picks her up and takes her back to their secret base to nurse her back to health, as the other four are now trying to fight Pipi Rappa.
Yeah.
They're doing a terrible job. And they're not just doing a terrible job in that they are losing. They're doing a terrible job in that they are not trying to win. They are just standing in a line and waiting for him to throw number-shaped bombs at them and then flying away from the explosions. There is at no point in this fight an effort made by them to win.
Yeah. So, back at base, again, Dapu and Yuko are watching on TV, and he's like, ha ha ha. Bibi Rappa is. He's like, I will change all the numbers, and then that will let me conquer Earth. And Yuko's like,
Obviously.
I get it. He must have changed the numbers on my scale. That rat think, I'll get him.
Right. This is why this has happened. It's time to go murder this man.
Only possible explanation.
So
Right.
she shows up. She's like,
Filled with righteous fury.
yeah. She's like, how dare you have done this to me? Do you have any idea how much pain and heartache you have caused girls all over the city by messing with their scales? And in the middle of her tirade, he gets out a quick what? But she does not notice. She continues, and she says, we went and we cut back to make sure we got this. She says, my heart personally found the Road Traffic Act number 1102. You will not talk about body weight in front of radiant maidens. And then she charge henshins and mollywops this dude.
Yeah, she just cold murders this guy the whole time, being like, "How dare you mess with my
She
scale?"
keeps talking about the scale, and he keeps saying, I do not know. I am trying to kill you, but I do not know what you were talking about with this scale.
At one point, he throws a bomb, and you see her, chariots of fire run through it. And her body confidence has shielded her from the effect of these bombs.
She does pull out some Yellow Ranger moves. She throws heavy hits. She picks him up by his ankles and spins him around and throws him.
She specifically does the Cesaro swing.
Yeah.
For all of you Cesaro fans out there.
So, she does a running windmill uppercut. She gets a 20-foot head start and spins her arm around and runs at him and uppercuts him. And as he's dying, he's like, I still don't know about this scale!
He eats a piece of Imo-yokan. He goes giant. I'm sure, Katie, that if you go to Imo-yokan bakeries in Japan, you are going to be constantly surrounded by people who are accidentally becoming giants.
Just massive,
Yeah.
yeah.
So we find out another one of his weird powers is that he can take numbers and turn them into things that they kind of look like. So he says, 1 looks like a chimney stack. He has a cutout of a 1, and then he says it looks like a chimney stack. And then it cuts back to him, and it has become a chimney stack, and he uses that to launch fireworks at the robots.
Yeah.
He says, what does a 2 look like?
A duck.
And then it cuts back, and he has a giant paper mache duck that shoots a sonic blast at them.
And then he tries to do number 3, and he says that the number 3 looks like the wiggly lines on the inside of a baby's ear. He's like, then he has this baby's ear. He's like, this is useless. Why did I do this?
Right.
I did think it was good for him to take the time to teach all the children that were watching the show the different numbers.
About that. So He gets cranked. Like, they use RV sword on him, and
Yeah,
that's it.
that's it. He's dead.
He does die protesting his innocence. He's like, I didn't do anything to your scale, and he's dead.
So the next day, Yoko and Natsumi are like, they're at the
Gym,
sauna
they're in the
or whatever.
sauna.
And they're saying, like, okay, like, it's time. Now we need to go, like, get out and step on the scale.
Moment of truth.
Moment of truth. She steps on the scale, and instead of having gone down, she has gone, up 0.1
kilos.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. Like, all the numbers should have gone back to normal. How could this be?
Right.
And, of course, the answer is that he hadn't done anything to the scale.
Right. So, and also, I will just say, Yuko, you've been working out a lot.
Yeah, muscle
Muscle
weighs
is
more.
heavier than
Yeah.
fat. Like, your body composition is changing. Don't worry about it. So anyways, they're at the park, and all the other rangers are comforting her. They're like, Yuko, it's like, you're fine. Like,
Yeah,
this is completely nonsensical. It's fine. Like, you look great. Don't worry about it.
They do say, you look cute how you are. They also just say, like, you're still growing.
Oh, yeah.
Like, at no point...
Well, she is the youngest of the rangers.
Yeah, but it was just the moment of, like, instead of just saying, like, this isn't something you need to worry about, this needs to, like, this, you shouldn't be focusing on this. It's really just like, no, there's a reason that you're still a little chubby, don't worry.
Yeah.
It's just like, ugh, missed the mark.
Anyway.
And she's like, yeah, things are fine. Why don't you guys all buy me ice cream?
And that's kind of where the episode ends. They are all protesting her desire to have ice cream bought for her, probably because she makes the second most of any of them. Because we know all of their salaries.
We know all
from
their
the first
salaries.
episode.
They talk about that from the first episode.
And I think normally we would do a Creature Royale spot here, but we're on sort of a tight schedule. So I do want to just wrap it up here, and then maybe we can circle back next
we'll
week.
talk about RP PP Rappa next week.
Yeah, we'll sort of do a 2 for next week. But for now, thank you all for listening. This has been a blast. It's always a lot of fun when the three of us can do this. And that is going to do it for another episode of Licensed to Carranger. Before you finish up here, I'd like to remind you all that you can email the show at supersentaibrothers@gmail.com. If you want to get any updates on future episodes or check out the things that we're talking about on Twitter, we are at Super Sentai Bros. If you like the show, please remember, shining in the iTunes review section, there are 5 stars. Rate, review, subscribe on Apple Podcasts. That's what's going to help us help other people find the show, or wherever it is that you're listening. Apple Podcasts is not the only place. We're available all over. Just all over. Just go do you.
I listen to you on Stitcher.
See? Perfect example. The Super Sentai Brothers are a production of Retrograde Orbit Radio. If you'd like to listen to any of the other great Retrograde Orbit Radio shows, you can do that all at retrogradeorbitradio.com. Once again, we are the Super Sentai Brothers. I'm Matt.
I'm Dave.
I'm Katie.
And we'll see you next week for the greatest show on Earth.